Hello everyone! Today I am excited to share my illustration based on the content of Chapter 1 of Dreams of the Red Mansion, and that includes hidden messages, intricate details, and interesting facts. The first question would definitely be, who is Cao Xueqin? Cao Xueqin, known as the Eastern Shakespeare, created this work when his family fell from one of the wealthiest families due to the protection of Kangxi Emperor to the criminals because of political reasons, especially the switch position of emperor to one of the Kangxi's son, Yongzheng. The 13-year-old Cao Xueqin was driven away from his hometown Nanjing, the so-called southern capital, and began his devastating homeless life in Beijing, the northern capital. He sought a position at a public school while finishing the first draft of Dreams of the Red Mansion. He died at the age of 48, with the last 40 chapters of the book unfinished. The next question is, why is Dreams of the Red Mansion is a great work? Dreams of the Red Mansion is a synthesizer of 5,000 years of ancient Chinese wisdom. Cao Xueqin holds the philosophy of Laozi and Zhuangzi, the vigor of Qu Yuan, the talent of Sima Qian, the craziness of Gu Kaizhi, the romance of Li Bai and Du Fu. He got the vibe of Man and Han's race, and the culture of both South and North of China. When he wrote the Dreams of the Red Mansion, he was not only honoring his own youth, but also honoring every living creature that had ever existed in this world. The next question is, why translate the story of Song into Dreams of Red Mansion instead of Dreams of Red Chamber? Well, when I say chamber, I thought of Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets. The story of Song has nothing similar to the secret chamber. It is supposed to be prosperous, fancy, flourishing, just like something that only exists in a dream, and such why it cannot be changed, so it's supposed to be mansion instead of chamber. Then, what is the strange sound every time I begin to tell a story that is supposed to enter a dream? The sound is attention-catching block. The ancient Chinese storytellers used this to remind the audience that the story began. One of the most interesting things about this book is you can never tell dreams from reality, truth, or illusion. The block click once, we enter the dream. The block click another time, we go back to reality. Gradually you will find no matter how many times the block is clicked, we lose the direction in the dream the author creates. Why 36,501 stones? When the number is presented, the first thing that comes up in your mind is not the amount of stones, but the amount of time, right? Because there are 365 days a year, and there are 36,501 stones. I think the author here implies from two dimensions, time and amount, to emphasize the hard work the goddess made to fill in the blank of the sky. Then, what mountain does the one stone fall to? In Chinese, it is Qinggengfeng. Qing sounds like qing, which means love and feelings. So basically, this stone fell into some mountain full of love. And that's why the stone is going to experience a fascinating love story when it goes back to the human world. Then is the poems worth noted. In the beginning, the author writes this: pages full of idle words, penned with hot and bitter tears. Old man called the author fool, none his secret messages hears. It is completely different when you read these poems now and when you finish the book. And the vibe and the sickness of the feeling hidden inside the poem is worth a lifetime to feel and taste. Who is the monk who copied the story of the song first? Well, this monk is called Empty. He is also the same monk who took Zhen Shiying away. His Wongdong song again points to his empty character, that all good things are doomed to end and all the things that end are good. And here the author splits a little bit of Dao's thoughts, that the best strategy to do everything is to do nothing. And Wu Wei Er also symbolizes Dao's philosophy. Then, what other names does the story have? Well, the story was also once named the Mirror for the Romantic. We will see the Mirror of the Romantic in the afterward story, which is just like the Mirror of Asteroid in Harry Potter. Both of the mirrors shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts. Maybe I should put Dumbledore's quote here when he said this sentence in Harry Potter the Philosopher's Stone. But at the back of the mirror for the romantic, it will show us the ugliest, the cruelest side of the truth. Another name of this story is also called The 12 Beauties of Jinling. Jinling is one of the names of Nanjing, and the name The 12 Beauties of Jinling made the content of the story self-explanatory. It is worth noting that another movie called Flowers of the War has a similar Chinese name. The language in the movie is native Nanjing dialogue, and a very good movie, by the way. Then, the other meaning of Zhen Shiyin, Jia Yucun, and Zhen Yinglian, or the hidden meaning in their names. Zhen Shiyin in Chinese sounds similar to hide the truth. Jia Yucun, on the other hand, sounds similar to reveal the fake. Zhen Yinglian means worth sympathy, as she was then abducted at the age of 3 on the Lantern Festival. She was then sold to a poor scholar at the age of 15. However, another wealthy guy fancied her, so the wealthy guy wanted her to be a concubine. Thus, the wealthy guy killed the poor scholar for Zhen Yinglian, and that got another long story involved, which you will see in the afterward story. And also, after sold to the wealthy guy, Zhen Yinglian was renamed Xiangling, which means water cultured with fragrance. Who is the maid of Zhen Yinglian called Jiao Xing? Jiao Xing in Chinese means lucky, especially in an unfortunate situation, as she accidentally took 2 more glances at Jia Yucun out of intention, making he misunderstood that she liked him. When Jia Yucun became wealthy and honored, he came back and married this lady. We all know that Zhen's family ran into an unfortunate situation, but Jiao Xing managed to get out of that by marrying an official Jia Yucun at that time. What is the riverbank the grass grow on? The riverbank called Bank of the River of Three Lives, in Chinese, 三生河畔. Three Lives is a concept in Taoist, a fascinating movie called Detective Chinatown 2 aimed at illustrating this: Tao produced 1, 1 produced 2, 2 produced 3, 3 produced all things. And this sentence comes from Dao De Jing, and the full version can be seen on the link here. Anyway, we know that the grass and the god met by this bank, meaning their entanglement has begun even before their afterwards human life, when they first met as Lin Daiyu and Jia Baoyu, the 2 most important protagonists of Dreams of the Red Mansion. Why the grass said that she wanted to pay back his kindness with tears of a lifetime. We all know that grass was grateful for the god who saved her life, and when she absorbed all the good spiritual things in the world, she turned into a goddess and determined to go to the human world with the god to pay back his kindness with tears of her lifetime. And I'm emphasizing this plot twice because it accounts for the fate designed for Lin Daiyu and Jia Baoyu. In the afterward story, we will see that Lin Daiyu and Jia Baoyu gradually fell in love with each other and see how their relationship turns from a careful test of love into clear confession and determined choice. In the beginning, Lin Daiyu always shed tears for Jia Baoyu for one cause or another, but when they finally make confession towards each other and use actions to show how much they love each other, Lin Daiyu found that she does not cry as much as before. As readers, we know that when her tears running up, it means that her death drew near. It is the impossibility to change the ending, as everything has been determined by fate, that made this story a beautiful tragedy. Isn't it strange that when people just fall in love and they just feel some sadness and sorrow and some kind of determined fate we sometimes feel? Love seems always to be bittersweet, and somehow 2 people just fell in love for no reasons, and they have all this entanglement we cannot give a reasonable explanation, as fate has already decided what we have must go through with some certain people and some certain plots. That's why now I'm going to emphasize more on Eastern romance. Such story also reveals the core of Eastern romance, or the testing, or the bittersweet. Although it is created almost the same time as Romeo and Juliet, but the vibe is completely different. It is not that people just fall in love crazily and say, I will die for you 100 times a day, but hidden in the entanglement, the details, the testing, the eye contact, the poems, and the unspoken words. Eastern romance is not "I will fight fate for you," but knowing the ultimate fate will unwillingly accept everything, the love and sympathy towards everyone and everything. And that's just a little bit of my own understanding. Anyway, what is the land of illusion? The land of illusion is a place for gods who are in charge of every living person's fate in the human world. On the gate it is inscribed, "Truth becomes fiction when fiction's true. Real becomes not real when the unreal's real." This poem is worth noted because it is one of the core of Dreams of the Red Mansion. Just as I put it before, no matter how many times the block is clicked, we cannot tell dreams from reality. Then, what does Jia Yucun's poem mean? He said, "In Thrice 5 nights her perfect all is made, whose cold light bases each marble balustrade. As her bright world stars on its starry ways, on earth, then thousand heads look up and gaze." Marble balustrade is a common metaphor in ancient Chinese poems, means prosperity and sometimes referred to wife and home. And also in the last sentence, thousand heads look up and gaze not only refers to moon, but also Jia Yucun's ambition to be worshipped by everyone. The only way to achieve his goal is through the emperor's test, and if he passes, then he can be the government official with actual power. Then, who is Huo Qi? Well, Huo Qi is the servant who lost Zheng Yinlian in the street. And Huo Qi in Chinese also means the beginning of disaster, which is pretty clear, I guess. What is Lantern Festival? Lantern Festival is the 15th day of January on lunar calendar. It calls the end of the Spring Festival, and people will have sweet dumplings or glutinous rice balls to celebrate this festival. People also enjoy colorful flower lanterns, firecrackers, and lantern riddles, whose plot will appear in the afterward story. That's why the monk said in the poem that there will be accidents, the loss of Zheng Yinlian, since the 15th of the month. The Mid-Autumn Festival is usually in August and September. Zheng Shiying had the dream in the middle of summer at the same time Jia Yucun met Jiao Xin. And I assume it has been 2 or 3 months since Jia Yucun met Jiao Xin, the maid of Zheng Shiying. And then is Festival of Reunion. That's why Jia Yucun excessively missed Jiao Xin, because people usually feel lonely on this kind of holiday. And that is also why Zheng Shiying said after Jia Yucun passed the imperial test, and they're going to celebrate it next winter because it is going to be a long time, almost a year. Another famous Mid-Autumn festival in Dreams of the Red Mansion is in chapter 75. At that time, the Jia's family is going downwards, and when the guys in Jia's family were hanging around in the garden and enjoying wine, they suddenly heard a sign coming from the family's shire or the ancestral hall, which is really creepy. And it was also that night Lin Daiyu and another girl, Shi Xiangyun, wrote the poem. The stroke's shadow flit across the chilly pool. The poet's spirit is buried in the cold moonlight. In English, it doesn't rhyme, right? But in Chinese, it does. It's 寒塘渡鹤影，冷月葬花魂, which is a really beautiful poem. And the next question is Jia Yucun ambitious? My answer is yes, very. When Jia Yucun passed the imperial test and became an official and judge, 10 years of involving in the official field, he knew too well about human nature that when he met his benefactor's daughter Zheng Yinlian in the case where 2 men broke out a fight for her, he never considered protecting the girl but covered up for the wealthy guy who is supposed to be guilty for killing the other poor man. And he just let Zheng Yinlian be the concubine of the killer. Who knows what will the wealthy man do to her? So Jia Yucun is not only ambitious but also cold-hearted, which also reflects how corrupt the official field was and how injustice federalism is. What does the Wang Dong song mean? We know that it all begins in "Man all know that salvation should be won, but with ambition won't have done. Where are the famous ones of the days gone by? In the grassy graves they now lie, everyone." Well, everyone knows how good the worldly wealthy, social status, and power are, but all shall vanish in front of ultimate death. The illustration of the poem also predicts the future of Jia's family. And here, Jia's family is actually not Jia Yucun's family. They just happen to have the same family name. Although Jia Yucun is poor, Jia's family is very rich and will be revealed in the afterwards chapter. What does the illustration of Wang Dongsong point to? There's a sentence called "all strife and tumult on the stage as one man ends his song, the next comes on." This line is one of the most famous lines in the poem, as it concludes many of the historical scenes in ancient China. For anyone who is familiar with Chinese history, we all know that feudalism has ruled in China for 2,000 years, and there are many dynasties. And all the change of dynasty and emperor is like one man ends his song, the next comes on. What does the illustration of Wang Dongsong point to? The last sentence is like this: and all our labor in the end is making clothes for someone else's to wear. The original Chinese meaning for this poem is the person who made the effort wore to make a wedding clothes for others to marry someone else's the person loves. The world is a complicated and chaotic place, and so is human nature. We never see through others only when we fully understand the bright and dark side of human nature. Dreams of the Red Mansion is not a complete tragedy. It is a piece of artwork that you know the ending before you read it, but you still want to cautiously fall into the dream, and that's the greatness of it. Alas is some of my personal thoughts. If I were stranded on a deserted island and could take only one book, I would definitely choose Dreams of the Red Mansion. Having been born and raised in Nanjing for 18 years, I feel deeply connected to the atmosphere and emotions woven into the story. This August, I'll be heading to US for college, and with plenty of free time before then, I suddenly had an idea. Why not start a series about my favorite book? Since I'm embarking on this journey, I will be taking Dreams of the Red Mansion with me to the US in both Chinese and English version. I am committed to continue this series until 120 chapters are fully translated and interpreted. I'm truly excited and looking forward to this adventure. And alas, it's the same notification every episode. Dreams of the Red Mansion is a truly mysterious masterpiece, so much so that many Chinese universities has an entire field of study dedicated to it, known as Redology. That said, everything I share in this video is purely my personal interpretation and opinion. If you're interested as a devoted Red fan, I highly recommend you to explore as much as possible to deepen your understanding of this extraordinary work. If you're captivated by the world of the Dreams of the Red Mansion, be sure to subscribe to this series, and I love to share this journey with you.